It is time for our 4-6 homework review. The first few here, the directions say each square root is between two consecutive integers. Name the integers and explain your answer. So our first one, number 17, was the square root of 52. So we are going to think about our perfect squares that are just below and just above. So we have these. And then we have to think about how far apart these are. And you can see that they are about even. We have these are 4 apart, these are 3 apart. So I would then say that the square root of 52 is about 7 5/10. Don't forget that the smaller number is always going to be your whole number, and then you use these to figure out about what your decimal is going to be. The next one is the square root of 3. So below that would be the square root of 1, and above that would be the square root of 4. So we're somewhere between 1 and 2. We know it's going to be 1 and. These are 2 away and these are 1 away. So even though they're all really close, this is actually twice as big of a gap as this is. So because of that, I'm going to say it's going to be a lot closer to 1. And I think I will guess, I don't know, 1.1. Why not? I was debating between 1.1 and 1.2. I don't know if it really matters all that much. I think either one would be a good answer here. 19, the square root of 600 is between the root of 576 and the perfect square of 625, and the square root of 576 is 24. This is 25, and this would be about 24, and let's see, those are 25 apart, and these are 24 apart, so I'm going to go ahead and put a 5 there. 24 and a half. Number 20 is the square root of 2000. So just below that is 1936, which is the perfect square for 44. So above is 45, which is 2025. And then this is going to be 44. These are 25 apart, and these are way more than 25 apart. They're 64 apart. So that means that this is going to be way closer to 45 than it is to 44. So which makes me think back to this one. Hang on, going back to 18. If these were 2 apart and these were 1 apart, I think I was thinking of that backwards because this really should be closer to 2. Sorry about that. So these are way closer, so we're going to say this is maybe 44 and 8/10. Oh, and that's a wavy equal sign because we are estimating. Number 21, we have 410. So directly below that is 400, which is 20. Directly above that is 21, which is 441. These are 31 apart and these are 10 apart. So it's going to be closer to 20 than it is to 21. And I'm going to say 20 and 3/10 here. If you are within, I would say 2/10 of my answer on any of these, you're fine. So if you had said, I don't know, 44 and 7/10, 44 and 6/10, that's fine. We're estimating here. I don't expect you to get the right answer. just preferably be on the correct side of 0.5. So if it, like this one I had wrong because I had it closer to 1 than it was to 2, when it should have been closer to 2 than it was 1. So make sure you're on, the right side of the range, but it doesn't need to be exact. Number 22, the area of a square root of a field is 200. What is the approximate length of each side of the field? Round to the nearest foot. So we have the square root of 200, and we are looking for our perfect squares below and above. And let's see, do any of these have? No. So we are going to think probably, I'm going to say around 13, 14. So this is 169. Let's check 14. 196, so it must be between 14 and 15. Clearly, I don't have these big ones memorized. This is kind of a guess and check method, which if I didn't have the answers in front of me, I definitely would have had to do for these larger ones. Hopefully you guys took the time to do that rather than just plugging them into a calculator. So this is 15, this is 14. These are only 4 apart, these are 25 apart, so it's way closer to 14. I'm going to say 14.1, and it told us to round to the nearest foot, so we can say about 14 feet for that one. The next couple, we're going to the nearest hundredth, so we definitely need some more space on the board. These ones we are supposed to estimate to the nearest hundredth, which means, remember, we need to go out to the thousandth and then come back to the hundredth. First thing we need to do is figure out what our perfect squares are above and below. So this one would be 16 and 25. Then we're going to figure out what the difference between these is, which is 3. And the difference between 25 and 16 would be 9. So we have 3/9, which is 1/3. So I know that that decimal is 3 repeating. And what that means is we would have 4 and 333 thousandths, which would round to 4 and 33 hundredths. So there would be our hundredth estimate for the square root of 19. For the square root of 84, let's see, square root of 84, 10 would be 100. And 9 would be 81. So we know it's going to be between 9 and 10. The difference here is 3. The difference between 100 and 81 would be 19. So we need to divide here. I don't know this one, so I'm going to do 3 divided by 19. And remember, I need to go out to the thousandths place here. All right, so we have to the nearest thousandth, which means this will be 9 and 157. The 7 tells the 5 to round up, so we would have 9 and 16 hundredths for our estimate there. And that was number 24. Number 25, we have 123. let's see. 11 squared is 121. 12 squared is 144. So those would be our two perfect roots here. It's getting pretty messy. The difference between these is 2, and the difference between these would be 23. So then I'm going to erase this so you guys can see my math here. So 2 divided by 23. And remember, we're always taking that out to 3 decimal places. The first one is 0, that's handy. The second would be 9. No, wouldn't it be 8? And I think this is going to be a 6. 2, yep, 22. All right, so we have about 11 and 86 thousandths, which would, when we round, we're going to change it to 11 and 9 hundredths. So number 25, 11 and 9 hundredths. Number 26 over here, we have 251, and gosh, I wish I had left these perfect squares I had figured out up here, because we need 15 and 16 this time. Alright, we got that. And there we go. So we have below, we have 225, which is 15, and the square root of 256 is 16. So we know we're going to be somewhere between 15 and 16. These are 26 apart, and these would be something about that didn't make sense. That's right. Okay, and then 56 minus 25 would be 31. So then we need to do 26 divided by 31. And that's going to be 8. Bring down a 0. It's going to be 3. Close to 4. And our last 0 would be 8 again. There we go. So it's going to be 15 and 838 thousandths, which when we round that to the nearest hundredth is going to be 15 and 84 thousandths. When, you guys can't see that, can you? There you go. When we look at number 27, we have the square root of 290. So we're going to need to figure out some more perfect squares here. 17 and 18. 289 and 316. Look how close 289 is here. So these are 1 apart, and these are 316 minus 289 apart. 27. So then I have to figure out what's 1 divided by 27. And I'm going to go out to 3 decimal places. The first is going to be 0. This is going to be 3. And this will be 6. Oh, no, it's 7. It's close. Alright, so here we're going to have about 17 and 37 thousandths, which would round to 17 and 400ths. So that is 28. The last couple here are, you're allowed to use a calculator and round to the nearest tenth. So I only have this set to do web browser right now, or the browser camera right now, so I'm just going to hold up my phone calculator here for you, and I want to show you how you would do these on a calculator, because this is a way that in life you would do them. So when you are looking on your calculator, what you're looking for is a square root button. Some calculators, it's just going to be the radical symbol, so that on my iPhone calculator it looks like this. Sometimes it might be the bar with X but not the square, so look for something that looks like that. Typically what you do is type your number and then hit that button. So I just did that for number 28. So the square root of 58, I typed 58 and then hit the square root button. And you can see it's a decimal that goes on and on and on. But we are asked to round these to the nearest tenth. So number 28 would be about 7 6/10. Number 29 is the square root of 91 5/10. So I'm going to type 91 5/10 and then hit the square root. And when I round to the nearest tenth, I get that, 9 6/10. Number 30 is 550. So we're going to do 550 square root, and we get about 23 5/10. The last two, try to get through here. This will be about 31 32. I put the answers here. I'm ready to go for a walk, so he's a little excited. The square root of 150 in the calculator, when we round to the nearest tenth, is 12 2/10. Square root of 330 is about 18 2/10. Next up, we are going to check out that little extra section, simplifying square roots. I gave you a couple on that page, so we'll do those next. Here are the problems from the extension page with 3 to 15 by 3s. Remember, in these you're looking for square roots that are hidden, or square roots, perfect squares that are factors of the numbers that are here. So the first one, we have square root of 200. If we break this down into 100 times 2, square root of 100 is 10. And we don't have a perfect square for 2, so our final answer there would be 10 square root 2. The next one we have the square root of 99. So we know the square root of 9. So we could say 9 times 11. Square root of 9 is 3, and 11 is not a perfect square, so it would be 3 root 11. Next up we have 54, which would be, again, a 9 times 6. So the square root of 9 is 3. 6 we can break up into 2 and 3, but neither of those is a perfect square, so we're just going to leave it 3 root 6. 1,000. 1,000. We can take 100 out of there. So 100 times 10 would be 1,000. So then the square root of 100 is 10, and we still have root 10. So it's 10 root 10. The last one here, we have square root of 200 plus the square root of 72. So we're looking to see if we can break those up into any perfect squares that we know. So I'm thinking we have 100 for this, which would be 100 times 2. Square root of 100 is 10. So then we'd have 10 root 2 plus, and then over here, I'm trying to think what we could use here. We're probably going to end up with 2 left over. So 72 divided by 2 is 36. Oh, and 36 is a perfect square. Great. So we'd say 36 times 2. Square root of 36 is 6. We still have that square root 2. Now these are like terms because they both have square root of 2. So we can add 10 plus 6 is 16. So our final answer there is 16 square root 2. That's it for lesson 4-6 and the extension. I will be back soon with your next lesson. I look forward to seeing 8th grade pre-algebra in their Zoom on Tuesday and 7th grade pre-algebra in their Zoom on Wednesday. I will see you all in your Zooms, and if you have any math questions, feel free to ask them during that Zoom or go ahead and post them to your math discussion board. See you guys soon. Have a great day.